Somebody asked if I could make a video showing the split screens toolkit again, and I think it's a good idea. I haven't talked about these in a long time because I've been working on so many other different things. And that's probably the problem of having too many products and just one person handling everything. But that's not what this video is about. So in this video, I'll show you how you can use the split screens to create something like these in pretty much no time. So we're going to start by taking a look at these. Now there's probably going to be a little bit of a delay in here, but I was playing around with this concept just for a little bit. And if you were to create these split screen like these from scratch, it will take a bunch of time, but the process will be similar. You just have to stack your clips into a Fusion clip and then go into Fusion, then create masks for everything. But in this case, let me decompress this. Well, we cannot really do that. So I'm going to just do this. So I'm going to copy these. And I'm going to bring these into the edit page right here where we have these. So this is what it looks like when you're using the beats of a song and try to put the cuts in here. The main thing that you need to take into account here is that you want all your clips to be filling the screen completely if the clips are like these. So you just make them a little bit bigger so that they are covering the whole screen. In this case, I chose to stack them out like these just so that I had a new clip coming into the scene when this beat was happening. Now to create this beat or to create this beat marker, just right click and then it should say show music beats. And then this is a studio feature, I think, in DaVinci Resolve 20. And then it will just automatically analyze your clip and then throw the different markers right here that you can use. And it makes life a lot simpler. Now, if you wanted to just make them all show up at the same time, just start them all in the same point. It works there as well. So what is the process? Once you have the clips that you want to use, they are all set up. And don't worry if you later on want to change this, you can always do that as well. You can modify these and build these so that it's easy to do that. So once you have your clips stacked or positioned however you want them to be, all you have to do is right click on them and then go to new Fusion clip. This will automatically create a new Fusion clip with all the clips. Now you will only see the clips that's on top right here. But don't worry too much about it. Or sometimes you'll just see the clip that's at number 1 or the first layer. So we're going to go to Effects, and then here you go to Effects and find SUALVI, and you'll find the split screens. Now, if you only have the demo, you can still use a bunch of them. They're still there that you can use. So you just find the split screen that you want to use. Now, I built these with the square resolution in mind as well, because back when I started, when I modified these, I think it was in 2023 that I remade my previous pack. There was a huge thing of like square videos still in social media. And right now, square videos probably just work for maybe LinkedIn or like Twitter probably a lot, but not so much for Instagram, because Instagram then still just converts all your square videos to like a vertical format reel, right? But you can still use them. It's built and it's there for you to use. So we have these stills right here. So the ones called stills are not animated and they're just horizontal. So I can just make this a little bit bigger and then find, in this case, we have 5 clips. So find split screens 5. And here you would just find whichever you want to use. In this case, we use this one. I'm just going to drag and drop this right here. Now we have these borders. I took them out. So you just do that right here where it says border width. And just either drag this down or just click on the box and press or add a 0 there. And now you get rid of the borders. So they're not there bothering you anymore. We'll take a look at these. And now we have the clips right there. And that took literally, it took a little bit longer because I was talking. But if you have these, it takes a second. If you were to do these or build this from scratch, it will take you at least 10 to 15, 20 minutes, probably, if you just want to do it the first time without any idea of what you're doing. So this saves a bunch of time. Now in here in the inspector is where you want to align the clips. Like right here, this clip doesn't make that much sense. I want this little thing right here to be on screen. And you can also add keyframes if you want to track something or just track them in the actual clip itself if you want to do that. So let me show you what it looks like. So if you open these in a timeline view, you see all your clips right here. And then here you can add color grading, modify your clips, or just add anything that you want to the clip. Even just like stabilizing the clip right here, we can do that. And then you can even, let's say you want to go into Fusion and add a tracker to these. So we're going to add a tracker. IntelliTrack. I don't know what's that by default, but let's see if it works right now. So we have these IntelliTrack. Now we can go to operations. Now match move and set the merge to background only. Now that's going to be all centered, right? So now you can press Ctrl G to show the guides and then add a transform node and then just like position the subject or the object that you want to have right in the center. So now we have that interesting clip right there. Now we can go back to the main page or the main clip. We can see this Fusion clip right here. If you don't know how to activate this view, go up here, then display stack timelines. Right, we're back in the main page. And now that clip is already tracked and we can just use this to modify the position where we want this to be. If you make this a little bit smaller, it will work, but your clip was smaller, so it will look a little bit weird, right? But yeah, it looks like these, we can keep that in mind. Now, if you want to have something like an action that happens right here, in this second clip, we see this element right here is moving. So we want to start when the clip starts. I want this to start right here. And when it moves, I want to add a keyframe to this. So just add a keyframe, go until the movement happens or where it ends, and then just follow it like that. So if we take a look, now that moves as well. So there's a ton of things that you can do to play around with these. And that is pretty much it. Now, in this case, now you can see this little speed ramp right here that you used. Then we have this double split screen just to add another second screen. And then I had these 3 split screens. Now at the end right here, it's going to be lagging a little bit because I've added extra animations. But if you want to animate these further or make any modifications or add nodes inside Fusion, you can do that as well. It's not that complicated. In this case, for example, I cannot do that from the edit page right here, but we can always go into Fusion, just find the mask that is actually working on that side, which is this one right here is the middle one. And we have this mask for that side. And the other one is this one right here. So all we need to do now is we're already at that mark that where we want to start the animation. I'm going to keyframe these on, I think just using the position keyframes would work in this case. So we're going to create those 2 keyframes right there. And we're going to go all the way till the end. And we're just going to drag these away like that. We're going to do the same thing for the other one. And now what we need to do is adjust this mask that we have right here. I'm going to also make these a little bit bigger. These, I'm not sure why it's set up to be a little bit smaller. It doesn't need to be. So this one is a polygon mask right here. So we can always animate that by just, first of all, we need to go to that first keyframe right here, selecting these. I'm going to create a keyframe for all of these points right here that we have. That's going to be the smoothest way to make these accurate and to not have to guess around with these. And I don't think it will let you to move these points around if you're not using these controls either way. But we can test. Yes, you can do that. If you want to do that, you can still move them. Sometimes it doesn't let you do that. But in this case, it works. So now all we need to do is find the points. So this one right here, we can set this to 1. Find this one, 0.1. Set this to, no, that's not it. It's 1. Then this one has to be set to 0. And this one to 0 as well. If we take a look at this now, it looks a little bit weird, right? Because of the speed of our animations. What we can do is try to select these 3 elements that we have used to animate. I'm going to press F8 like this, press F8 so that our elements are showing up. I'm going to have to make this screen a little bit bigger. And now I need to find the different elements that have the keyframes. So if I press F right here, adjust the ease in and out. Let's see how that looks. It still looks a little bit slow for the points that we have right here. In this case, what we can do is we're gonna deselect these two, make sure all of these points are selected, and we can just make this be a little bit faster, right? So like that, we bring all those points to those elements right there. Now we are basically hiding that weird cut that we have. So let's take a look at it in the edit page. So yeah, we have that little like the animation of the split screens disappear and the center clip stays. And then we have this scene continuing of the boat turning right here. Or I think it's called tacking here as well in this type of boats. But yeah, that's basically how the split screens toolkit works. All you have to do is stack your clips, however many clips you want to have or want to use, and then turn them into a fusion composition or fusion clip, and then add the split screens effect. Now, what happens if you turn these into a vertical clip using these right here? Now, before I do that, let me tell you, I haven't done these before, so I'm not sure what the end result is going to be. But the reason why I had to create another complete collection of vertical ones was because the automatic resolution transformation or adaptation that comes with DaVinci Resolve sometimes would mess things up and the whole thing would look pretty weird and maybe unusable unless you wanted to have something out of the norm, I guess, right? So let's try to do that and see how it looks. Now, hopefully it doesn't crash on us right here. I haven't experienced that, but it could happen if you have these clips selected with a fusion effect on. Okay, so yeah, so there is a little bug that sometimes could happen in DaVinci Resolve 20 if you have something selected that has an effect on it. When you try to change the resolution, it just freaks out a little bit. So let's try to change that resolution without our clip selected and see if that works better. That works better. So if I were to put these right here, we can see the resolution was frozen, or the tool itself was frozen in a way that it doesn't mess up. But in this case, if you were to want to do this in the vertical format, what you either have to do is go to the split screens toolkit, find the split screens that you were using, go to vertical, vertical 5, and here you have a bunch of different verticals that you can use. But let me copy these and get rid of the effect so that we can see how it looks. And we probably have to go to retime scaling and go to, not retime, right here. Is it fill? Is it fit? Crop? So I think the reason why we're not being able to do that, if I go to Fusion Clip 4, it will be horizontal. So I have to go to Fusion, to the Fusion Clip as well, change that to portrait. Now select all the clips and now turn that to fill if you want. But if you don't want to, I think you probably don't want to do that because it works better if you don't, I think. Let me just check. We have the clips right here. And if I added these Penta one right here, you can use any of the other ones as well. Like in this case, this is really too tight to be using 5 if you're in a vertical format, right? Unless you use something like these, which is just stacked boxes right here. But we can do that really quickly as well and just add 0 or take the borders out if you don't want to use them. And then all you have to do is play around with the alignment of the different clips that you have right here. So screen 1 is usually the first clip or the first layer right here, the way you build it. And then screen 5 is the one that's at the highest point right here. And then we have that screen 5, but then it's this one. Actually, so it starts with screen 0, right? But I'm not sure why it's built like that, but that's just a fusion thing. In Fusion, the media in is 0 for the 1 or the layer number 1 that you have right here. It's always going to be like that. So it's just something that I cannot change from my end, I think. But yeah, you have the different controls here as well on the vertical mode, and you can make any changes that you want right here. And then you have a way of adding or adapting these 4 vertical videos real quick, just like that as well by using that same clip. But if you were to do this in the same timeline, just make sure to copy your clip right here, like I did right here. That way, if you said, okay, I'd rather go back to the horizontal time, right? Then you can just do that full HD right here. and do that as well. Now, if you were to do both or be working on those type of two resolutions or two formats, you probably want to do that. Like, don't do it in the same time. Like, have one that's horizontal. Maybe once everything is done, change that to vertical, and then make the adaptations, or not change it, but copy that timeline and then make the adaptations right there. So if you were to do these right here, you would just copy this timeline, paste these, open that one if you want already, and then change that here. And then just make sure to change the name of it to vertical. That way you have two different timelines and you're not messing things up by changing the format of the same thing and having to like deal with that issue right there in itself. So if you were to add these right here, you can see how that is an issue that came from older versions of DaVinci Resolve. Now, this weird issue that happens when you go from vertical to horizontal, or sometimes from horizontal to vertical, is a really easy fix. And it's just something that has happened in DaVinci Resolve for the longest time. It's just a little dumb bug that I think has to do something with caching. So playback, now go to playback timeline resolution and set these to full. And now that fixed it. And I think that will same thing will happen if we go to 4K. Let's try that. We went to 4K and that actually transformed itself or adapted itself pretty easily because we have still the same resolution or the aspect ratio, which is 16:9 in this case. So we have that same aspect ratio. Now, there's the thing that I didn't show you yet is the animated split screens, right? So the way that they work is right here. If you go to the effects tab again, we can see the animated tabs, and we have horizontal, square, and vertical again. And these we have only for 2 screens and 3 screens for now, because I just didn't go back and add all the animations. Because to be honest, it took way too much freaking time to do that. I spent way too many hours doing that. So I thought, well, I'm just going to leave it like that for now and see if a ton of people get it, then maybe it's a path. But that's enough to give you an idea of what you can do. And then if you have an animation that you want to try, you just copy that format into the ones that have more screens right here. But for example, in these 2 screens ones, we have a bunch of variations for the double screens, like these. And then just like that, for example. But we can also just drag and drop these. We have a bunch of different clips right here in this case. So we can choose any of the clips that we were using before. So I'm not sure why that's doing that right now. Oh, there it goes. Oh, I forgot about that. We have the clips stacked a little bit later on. That's why we are not seeing those clips earlier on. But yeah, so you have to make, now if you use these animated ones, you want all your clips to start at the beginning right here or at the same time, right? Otherwise, you have this little one that's empty first, and then the other ones when that happens, or when the other one shows up right here, as you can see right here. So yeah, that's an overview or an updated overview of how the split screens toolkit work. Everything works correctly so far that I'm aware of. Nothing has broken with the DaVinci Resolve 20 update. So if you think this is something that will save you time, make sure to check out the website and the link in the description. Go download the demo first if you're not sure. But it's a definite solution to making split screens, because that way you don't have to worry again anymore about things, and you can modify everything in the edit page with just a few clicks. So yeah, that is it for this video. I hope it's helpful. And if you have been a subscriber that has seen the development of these products, I hope that this is a good refresher for you as well. That's it for this video. Check out the link in the description to check out the split screen toolkit and all the other tools that I've built for DaVinci Resolve to see how they can help make your editing life in DaVinci Resolve a lot smoother, easier, and that way you can create more in less time with less headaches. That's it for this video. Bye.